All right, everyone, we're back with the Faces of Business. I'm your host, Damon Pistolka, and with me today, I have none other than Nicole Donnelly. Nicole, awesome having you here today.
Oh my gosh, Damon Pistolka. I am so ecstatic to be on stage. I'm so used to being on stage with you and Kurt. So it feels a little disorienting that it's just me and you, but so fun. I'm super excited. Super excited. We're going to have to talk all kinds of stuff about Kurt on the show.
Yeah, we'll bring up Kurt a little bit, I'm sure. And in a good way, maybe not so good. I don't know. But today we're going to have some fun today. We're going to be talking about helping buyers make good decisions. Now, Nicole, you help industrial companies with inbound marketing. You do the HubSpot thing. You're helping them really figure their deal out. So let's start back a little bit before this. You went to school BYU for psychology and
go Cougs.
There you go. So you back there.
Yep.
How did you make that transition into marketing? You go to school for psychology.
Yeah.
But you go into marketing.
It started earlier than that. Let's go back to the days when I was just a little girl sitting on my dad's knee, him telling me stories. So I would say it starts from when I was a little girl. So my dad, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, I think you already know this. They were all built, successful businesses, all separate. So my dad—
You're a fourth generation entrepreneur.
Fourth generation, yes. And so I remember growing up as a little girl and going to my dad's little office. He was a solopreneur. Okay. He had this little tiny office down the street. We grew up in Ontario, California, which is like dairy farm country.
Yep.
Okay. This was
I've been there.
You've been Ontario?
I have.
No kidding. Okay. So we grew up right by the dairy farm. So anytime people would come to visit, they'd get out of the car and they'd be like, it stinks here. And we were so used to it, we couldn't even smell it. Right. So anyway, so my dad, solopreneur, we were poor. We didn't have a lot of money. And I remember going to his office and he was just working there. And I remember going and he had this big booming voice. And I just remember him talking to customers all the time with just such energy and enthusiasm. So love of customers started with that. I'll never forget when I was a kid, he always used to say all the time on the phone to people, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. So that's this mantra that I've taken from him. So, and then my grandfather owned a motel across the street from Disneyland. So my first job in high school was working at the front desk at his motel, literally half a block from the main gate.
Yeah.
And so I loved that experience so much because I loved seeing people's faces when they would walk in the door of the motel. It's like they've been planning for this trip for their whole lives, saving up, and they were just super excited. And so that was my first real experience, really getting to be part of the customer experience and really trying to serve and delight the customer and seeing the joy that brought to them. And so that really lit a fire in me as my 16-year-old self, just really started then just being really passionate about customers. And I already had the entrepreneurial, love small business from the time I was a little kid.
Yeah.
So at BYU, I studied psychology because I was just fascinated with human behavior. And then when I got out of college, I took a job working for a research company for a couple of years, really big company. And then I started working. I landed a job working for a small woman-owned business, and I'll never forget the when I went into interview for this job. It was a company that did direct-to-consumer marketing programs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it was my dream job. And I go into the interview and right away, I sit down and I see the CEO is a woman, the chief operating officer is a woman, and the CFO is a woman. And these women were just vibrant, dynamic. I remember sitting at the table, and before a word even came out of the CEO's mouth, I was like, I got to work for this woman. I would love to, it was just it hit me like a lightning bolt. I was I want to work here. I just wanted that job. And luckily enough, I was underqualified, no question. They hired me for that job and I just loved it. It was hugely, hugely wonderful to be able to work and see a founder and be, work directly with a founder in that way. Cause it was at that time, I think they maybe had 15, 20 employees. Mm-hmm. So I got to work directly with the founder. And that was an incredible experience. I mean, so much I learned from that about just the grit and tenacity and just innovation and the ability that small businesses owners have to just pivot quickly, right, in crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that firsthand with her and just, loved every minute of it. It was so cool. She was super, and still is, incredibly inspiring.
Nice.
So that just like continued to feed this like entrepreneurial, like love of the customer, love of, small business.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up taking a job, getting a call one day from my dad. And he said, Nicole, I really need help with marketing. Will you come and will you help us build out our marketing department here? So I went into his business and they literally had no marketing whatsoever, nothing to speak of. This was like maybe 11 years ago or so. And literally built out the entire marketing infrastructure from scratch. They had no CRM. We got them on Salesforce. We got them on HubSpot, implemented content marketing, blogging, video marketing, all of the workflows that go into like nurturing customers. And I got to tell you, it was absolutely thrilling to be part of that, to be able to build that from scratch for a small business and actually see the impact that it had on the business, but also for customers, because we were really creating this awesome customer experience for the customers that, just creating so much more efficiency for them, providing them with really valuable content information that they needed to help them make purchasing decisions, good purchasing decisions. So that was absolutely thrilling and exciting. And just also what was really thrilling and exciting was just, I know I'm not supposed to say this, but I just loved watching the revenue numbers go up every month. And I just loved watching all the leads come in. It was like, I really got a kick out of that part of it. I was like, oh, look at what's happening. This is so cool. So that's been my journey. And so what ended up happening then, so we had massive, huge success, was really great. And then I was approached by my previous employer, the company that I worked for before. And they said, Nicole, we want you to come and help us with marketing. And I said to myself, oh my gosh, the stars are all aligning. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I really want to help as many small businesses as I possibly can because I'm super passionate about that. Like, I've deliberately, consciously made a choice that I want to stay small business. I don't want to move mid-market. Yeah. I love small businesses. So I was like, this is it. This is like the opportunities in front of me. It's time for me to start my business. And now I can go out and help other small businesses too. So that's how I started my company that I have now. And we've been in business now for 2.5 years. We started a month before COVID. Yeah. So that's how I ended up here. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
There we go. There we go. So I've got to ask, it's interesting story about growing up, 16-year-old girl working at your grandpa's hotel right across from Disney. Are you a big Disney fan?
You know what's funny about that? I'm really not.
Yeah.
I like Disney, but I'm not like a hardcore fan. In fact, when I worked there, I don't think I went to Disneyland one time.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, were you like getting off work and you had that season pass rolling in there every day after work kind of thing?
No, I didn't. I mean, we did have like our senior, you have that like big senior party when you're in high school. We did have our like, big senior party there, and I'd go there like maybe once every year or two. But no, I wasn't a big hardcore Disney person.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Yeah. And even to this day, I'm taking my kids to Disney, but I've been there, done that. Yeah. Oh, and I know there are people who are gonna be like, "What? You're crazy." I'm crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is or it isn't, really. I mean, it's a nice place. We've enjoyed it with our kids a lot, and I'm sure our grandkids are going to see it a lot and those kind of things when they come around. But it's cool how you talk about when you started to work in the hotel, you really serving and delighting customers. Because I think that firsthand experience, when you see the impact you make, and those people are generally, at least happy going out in the morning to the park, but a little tired coming back maybe. But that's cool that you're able to see that part before you went out. So in the woman-owned business, I mean, this is really your first marketing gig there. What do you think you learned with them the first time around?
Oh, what did I learn with them the first time around? Really great question. Oh, there's so many things, but I think like what I said before, I just learned how important it is to stay really close to your customers. That is what great marketing is really staying as close as you possibly can to them. And I saw the founder do that. She would actually get out to we did direct to consumer marketing programs. And she was never too big to actually get out there and work the events and work directly on the floor and talk to customers. And that was really inspiring. So I think like at the end of the day, like marketing has become so complex over time, right? There's so many new channels to follow and so many different ways that you can market your business. But there's these core fundamental parts of marketing that never, ever change. And I think the first and foremost, most important, key to successful marketing is to always stay close to your customers and making sure that you're really trying to understand them, and it's surprising, like even today. So I send out, like, I'm a survey junkie. Okay. All my clients will tell you, they're like, oh my gosh, Nicole in the survey, she always wants to send surveys, but I'm telling you, there is gold in that feedback. So I even send them out for my own business, to my clients, in addition to having conversations with them just to level set and see how things are going. And even just today, I got feedback from a client that I was completely surprised by. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would have never even thought that was their experience, right? So like sometimes I think we make assumptions about our customers that we just really have to, because when you ask your customers, you got to be, it's this humility thing,
Yeah.
You really have to be humble about it and just accept that you don't know everything. You don't know until you ask. And I think that really can make or break a company, especially just starting out. If they don't pay attention to what the market's telling them and what customers are telling them, then that's a problem.
So. I think it's huge, and it's the best business people, I think, can recognize that I may have a great idea, we may have a wonderful product, but if my customers don't buy it, it's worth squanto, right? Nothing.
Squanto, I love that.
And we really need to go to where our customers are with our products and services.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
So many people, whether they think they're a visionary or whatever it is, they're off and go right into the ground like that in a ball of flames. But that feedback is critical, because we don't know. We don't know until we ask.
Yeah.
So as we're moving along now, we were talking a little bit before we got on, because 10 years ago, let's just say 10 years ago, let's think back. Let's turn this time machine back a little bit.
Let's do it. I'd gladly go back in time.
Yeah. So we're back 10 years. We're back 10 years. It is, what is that? What the heck is that? 2012. Holy heck. So we're sitting here in 2012, and we're talking about marketing then compared to marketing now.
Yeah. Big difference.
Yeah. Oh. So, in the good old days.
Oh, man. In the good old days, that was really when content marketing was just starting to be those days. 2012 was all about blogging, right? Like that was when blogging started to become a thing. HubSpot was starting to become this like marketing automation kind of superstar. That was when the whole inbound, methodology really started. And it started with just like literally blogging was the start. And now look at how it's evolved. It's crazy to think over time what's changed.
Yeah. So. It really has. It really has. And when you look back at it, it was the fundamentals really haven't changed. I don't think.
No.
And in that, do you see? Oh, I gotta put this up here. Kurt Anderson's in the house.
Kurt Anderson.
He's listening.
Kurt, we miss you on the stage.
Yeah.
Come up here.
Yep. He's traveling. He's traveling today, I think. Yes. Yeah. I think it's today or tomorrow. He's traveling.
He's always traveling. He's always wheeling and dealing. I can't keep up with him and his schedule.
Yeah. Yeah. He could travel for all of us. Thank you. I don't have to. But so when you look back, you look at today, and we fast forward today, it went from blogging, and then it was like video, and then it was live stream, and now it's like super hyper video live stream, whatever. I mean, how the heck does someone know where to start today?
Oh, such a great question. Yeah. It can become so complicated and so complex, to your point. And it's just, and there's, ebooks used to be the thing, right? And now that's like not a dead. I mean, there's still a place for ebooks, but this whole gated content versus ungated content it's always shifting. But I would say starting back with understanding your customer, you got to make sure that you have a solid marketing strategy before you go and do anything. So the first step is to do that customer research, to talk to your customers on the phone and survey them. So you're getting that qual and that quant data and using that to really build out a marketing strategy. And that marketing strategy will tell you, it'll become very clear to you when you actually look at the data that's coming back, which audiences specifically you should be targeting, right? Because good marketing and good strategy is all about like saying no to things and really staying focused. Like our friend Kurt always says, you got to niche down till it hurts, right? So good marketing strategy is all about really laser focusing in on that ideal customer, and that data will tell that to you. It becomes very clear. So once you know who your ideal customer is, then you know exactly what message that you need to create that's going to resonate with them. Then it becomes clear to you where they're at, what channels they're on, how they like to consume content, how they like to, whether they're on LinkedIn or whether they're on Instagram or all of those things. And so that can help you guide the marketing channels that you use. You use that information to create your objectives and then create your tactics, right? And the tactics are really what tell you which marketing channels that you need to be using, where you need to be playing, in that sort of thing. So, but, for small manufacturing businesses who are really just starting out with marketing, I always like to recommend that you start out with like 1 or 2 channels and you don't get too overwhelmed with trying to be like omni-channel and everywhere, because that can be overwhelming for a small business. So I think like one of the things that we like to do with small businesses is just really go in, and once we understand their customer, just try to put together like a content marketing strategy that's going to be as low of a lift as possible for them, because they're so busy. Every small business never has enough time or resources, right? And so marketing usually ends up being the last thing. So if we can go in there and say to them, look, you commit an hour a month to marketing, right? We're gonna interview you. We're gonna gather all of that wonderful intelligence from your brain and get it out, through this interview process. And we can create a month's worth of content for you, which includes blogs and video content and social posts. And that's all you have to do. I mean, to me, we've seen really great success with that model.
Yeah. Because it is. I mean, when you're sitting here today as a small business owner, looking at all the demands of the business, and we all know that marketing is, well, I don't know. I'm going to say a lot of people think that marketing is a necessary part of the business, but they have no idea how they're going to do it because they're trying to do sales and whatever their business needs to do and everything else that they need to do. And I think that there just is, it's just a matter of time for so many.
Yes, it is. Time is the biggest roadblock. They don't have the time. Yeah. So, if we can solve that for them by just making the lift as little as possible for them, but make the output like really valuable, that's a huge selling point for them.
So once people they start and they get going down the road, do you think that it becomes a lot easier for them? Like they
yes.
It's kind of like, it's like, oh man, I could never do that. And then once you do it, you go, oh, that's not so bad, I guess.
Every single time. I can't tell you like how many times I've walked into, a new client and they're like, how are we going to do this content thing? This just seems so overwhelming. I get resistance. I get pushed back. And I'm like, let's just take you down the path. We're going to get there. We do it like one time and then they start getting excited about it. Yeah. And then they start coming up with topics and ideas and things. And then it just becomes this ongoing just pattern where they're actually like all geared up to do it. I've seen it happen with video. Like none of the clients I've ever worked with are like dying to get in front of a camera. I don't know. They just, they're like anathemically opposed to being in front of the camera. And so I really have to like kind of gear them up for it. But then once they do it, once they actually get in front of the camera, it's like most of the time a fire lights up in them, and they're like, after we do a video shoot, they're like, we want to do this again. This was awesome. I have all these other great topic ideas we can talk about on camera. So you're absolutely right. And that's also the key to success, is really building a framework, a system, if you will, where it becomes a consistent process for the business. Because, you know, marketing is like, it's like going to the gym. You're not going to get that six pack just if you go for a week and then you stop going. You have to go consistently every single, day if you can. But with marketing, it's the same thing. You have to be consistently publishing really valuable, informative content to your customers to really start to get that traction and to build that relationship. We were just talking before the call about how it takes time to build that momentum. You're planting those seeds, and you have to keep watering and nurturing those seeds over time so that they can grow. So,
yeah. And I think, some of the things that I've realized in marketing is some of the most effective marketing is just answering questions.
Yeah.
How it is amazing to me, and I start off my sentence wrong. It is amazing to me how much content you can derive off of an FAQ page.
Oh, it's incredible. Absolutely. And you're absolutely right. I mean, and really, when you go into it and you try to answer those FAQ questions, it's amazing how much deeper that you can go when you're interviewing someone who's a subject matter expert and you're asking them questions about frequently asked questions. I tell you, every single time I do an interview, we end up going down a rabbit hole because there's just so much more information, so much more like meat, if you will, that you can get off the bone that just you can drill down. So, and that's actually something we really like to do when we go into a new client, is to talk to the sales team and just ask them, like, what are the top questions that you're hearing from customers? Because we want to scale that for the sales team, right? Like, what can we do to remove as much as possible that from the sales team's plate so that we're building this scalable system online? Because, Gartner just came out with a study this summer that 83% of B2B buyers, they want to have a digital e-commerce experience, and they're only spending 5% of the purchasing process actually talking to a sales rep. So how can we help and show up for the sales team by creating a digital self-serve experience through the website? I think a really big opportunity right now especially for manufacturers. So
yeah, it is. And when you step back and take a look at how a digital sales process is compared to a completely human-based sales process, you begin to realize there's a lot of steps in the human-based process that if I'm not desiring that, which a lot of buyers aren't, as their studies just mentioned the study, I make it tougher and tougher for people to buy and more challenging. It's amazing when you start to refine. So do you find that people say, well, we can't sell like that, and then they realize that they can?
All the time, especially in manufacturing. They always say our product is too custom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's too custom. They need to talk to a sales rep because there's too much customization. Well, I think there's certainly creating a configurator on your website or a pricing calculator on your website is something that we've created for some of our clients that solves that problem, right? So it's absolutely true that there are some products that require a lot of customization, and you will need to talk to a rep at some point in the process. But there are certain things that you can do before that point to really help them self-select what they need. And you can do that. Like, we have a client where they were selling these industrial air filtration systems, and the top two questions that the sales reps were getting all the time was, how much does it cost and what size system do I need? So why don't we create a pricing calculator right there where they can basically get a ballpark price and a recommended system that's emailed to them, and then that helps prep the salesperson. So a lot of that happens early, so by the time they get to the salesperson, they're like way qualified, and the conversation can start at a later point.
Yeah, I was reading a book the other day, and it was talking about it's called They Ask You Answers. I think it's
Marcus Sheridan. Oh my gosh, I met him at the Inbound Marketing conference this year. He is a gem.
No doubt. No doubt.
Awesome.
I mean, because they're talking about one of the big, no-nos, and that's talking about price. And I'm sure when you broach this subject with manufacturers, they just start to shrivel up and go, there is no way we can do that.
Every single time. Here's what I hear from them, because I'm always like, we've got to talk about pricing on your website.
Yeah.
And if they say they have custom products, I'm like, we can at least talk about a price range. We can create a blog post about what goes into the cost of your products. There's a ways around that. But the more that you're transparent about the price, the more it builds trust. But yeah, every single time I talk to manufacturers, I get pushback. The things they tell me are, oh, well, if I publish my pricing, my competitor is going to find out what I'm charging, and then they're going to undercut my price. And so then I always ask them, I say, well, let me ask you this. Do you know what your competitors are charging for similar products? Well, yeah. Is their pricing published? No. But you know what they're charging. Yeah. I was like, do you think they don't already know what you're charging? Like, why are we playing this game? Yeah. It's like so silly to me. It's like, just get it out there. Everybody already knows around what you're charging. And the second thing I always say to them is, are you competing on price alone? Like, nobody should be competing on price alone. Every time they're like, no, we're not competing on price alone. Well, then if you're not competing on price alone, then it doesn't matter, because you're offering more than just the lowest price possible, So usually, not all the time, but usually that gets them on board. Usually.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting.
It takes some wrangling, but.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting thought, but when you start to look, I mean, all the way through this process, when you start to look at pricing from a customer standpoint, digital standpoint, when you drop on the website, Marcus makes a really good point in his books and in his talks. It's like, what do you think if you don't see price on a website? You naturally think expensive. Because if you take time to build a great website and everything looks good, you got good content and people come to it, and you don't have a price, you're going to naturally think it's expensive.
And that you're hiding something. Like, what do you have to hide?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. But I mean, this is really, I mean, when you're, as we're talking about the title today, when you're helping buyers make good decisions, they want to be able to, as you said, 80% of the way, they want to get down the sales process a lot. They want to be comfortable, not just with you, but they want to be comfortable that they're making a good decision by going with you.
Yes, exactly. Yes, you're absolutely right. I love that.
How difficult is that to get across to clients and start generating content around?
Oh man, it depends on the client, to be honest. But it usually is, it takes a little bit of time, but I feel, honestly, I've noticed over the last maybe year, it's gotten easier.
Okay.
I think with COVID and just the way that the world is changing, and with more purchasing happening online, manufacturers are starting to come around easier than they used to. I got to tell you, it's getting easier. They're kind of like at this position now where they're like, the old ways aren't working anymore. Our business is basically telling us we've got to try this, because, so I would say lately that's been shifting, and there hasn't been like an openness from them.
I was wondering because, manufacturers, well, you, me, lots of people, Kurt, others, it's the lifeblood of the US, and we just, it's time for manufacturers to rise and thrive, and
rise and thrive. I love it. Rise and thrive.
It's the opportunity. I mean, and there is business out there. There's business out there from the world, and we just have to, help people make good decisions. And
especially with e-commerce, B2B e-commerce, it's just ripe for the taking.
Yeah,
there's so much opportunity to create a, digital transformation with e-commerce right now. So
and it's getting so much easier too. And I don't even know them, right? Know the specific things, but the technology is getting so much easier. Even if you have more custom or difficult products, it's still easy to develop easier to develop e-commerce solutions around them.
Yeah, definitely easier than it used to be. We're working on a big e-commerce project right now that you just got to phase it out, So
Yeah,
you don't have to eat the whole elephant all at once.
definitely.
So, I think that's one way to look at it is like, how can you create a phased approach
Yeah.
to building that out? So, yeah.
So what do you see that's working for clients now that you're like, man, this is cool. This is starting to make things hum.
Oh, definitely what I was talking about earlier, the creating content in an hour. So, getting the subject matter experts at the company to come and we interview them. It takes an hour of their time. We come prepared with specific topics that we've gathered based on FAQs and customer research. These are the things that customers want to know about. So we'll put together a content calendar and then we interview them. We take an hour of their time, interview them. We record it on video. And so now from that one interview, we get written content and video content that we can publish out for. And we're getting a lot of traction with that specifically. And that seems to be something that's really working well for these small businesses that are really just trying to like dip their toe in, right? Like they're really just getting started with content marketing. They don't have anything, no presence at all. So it's a great way for them to get started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you seeing that with the rise in like online advertising cost, and is that still as big a piece of the overall marketing pie as it used to be, or are we really seeing more it's content based now in industrial companies, or what are we seeing?
I would say it's a mix. So content marketing is absolutely a long-term play. You're not going to results from content marketing in 3-4 months. You have to consistently be doing it for at least 6 months to start to see some uptake. So I think in order for it to be really successful, you need to combine both, right? So doing the paid social, the paid search really helps you to try to get that traction as early as possible as you can. But then leveraging the content marketing that you're doing and using that in your paid advertising is really when it starts to start humming, right? So I think there's still a place for both. But, it's getting harder and harder with paid search really it's getting more expensive, the cost per click's going up. And so, it's always getting more challenging with marketers. They're always going to figure out an easier way. But one thing I'm really curious, interested in, and curious to see how to kind of leverage this for my clients is this whole idea of community-led growth, right? Like, so content marketing has been huge for the last 10 plus years, right? And there's just so much saturation now. There's so much content out there that now I'm just really interested to see like, how can more and more companies start to create this community-led growth where they're leveraging their existing customers and creating a place for them to build community with each other, and then having those relationships, like they're teaching each other and having that creating a space for them can lead to community-led growth for the company over time. That's something I'm interested in. I'm trying to learn more about it.
Yeah, I think there is opportunity in that. And, because at the end of the day, it's about, as John Buglino says, it's hunting those relationships and building those relationships.
Yes.
And,
he's so good at that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And when as a company, when you can start to do that, and you can, there's fans about whatever you want to do, 5-axis CNC machining of titanium or some other crazy metal that you can think, or it's just there's communities or people that are interested in those kind of things. And if that's what your business is doing, maybe it's best that you reach out to a lot of people that are interested in that.
Yes, I think you're right. Like, it's all about niching down that way.
Yeah.
I just went to a football game this last weekend. Go Cougs. We lost terribly. It was a terrible game, but we went to this awesome tailgate party, and it was super fun because like all the alumni were there, all the fans, and it's like this little tiny microcosm of people who we all went to the same school. We all have that shared sense of community, right? And it's like this totally niche group, and that's where the magic is. Like, it wouldn't have been nearly as special or fun if it was a much larger group, and you don't have that like same really tight connection holding you together. So I totally agree.
Oh, and you can ask questions. You
Yeah.
get better advice that's from people that know. I really was, when was it? Kurt and I interviewed Polly Rose, I believe it
Oh, I
was.
love Polly. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. She's awesome.
And look at her profile and the company that she's working with, and they're doing, it's some plastic kind of substance that's a
Yes.
sick. Yeah. But
Gaskets for the aerospace industry.
yeah. And it's like stops current going through or something. But you read and you go, wow, there really are people that probably are out there searching for that exact thing every day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like my client who sells dust collectors. Like nobody thinks about a dust collector or knows that like your Apple Watch, your Apple phone that's manufactured would not exist if you didn't have a dust collector in the plant sucking up all that dust. Like there's so many things that you just don't realize in manufacturing that make it all work. And it's kind of fun, all that behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And then here's a guy that walks the walk, talks the talk, James, what he's something about coatings, different coatings, just coatings, like coatings on anything. He's with the American Association of Coatings. He was when I first met him.
Nice.
You just think of these things, and there are specialties that if you really niche down and know your customers, that you can create this community, which I think is very, A, it's fun, but B, I think over time it really is good for your business.
Yes. Good for your business and good for the world.
Yeah.
Like, we need community, especially coming out of COVID, people feeling so disconnected. People are craving it. Like if businesses can really find a way to create that, it's just so great for them long term, but also for their customers. And that's, ultimately that's what we're here for, right? We're here to serve our customers.
Yeah.
So, we all want to make a dollar, but we want to do it making them happy, right? So
definitely. Well, and you said it right. I think really understanding your ideal customer. We talked about that a long time ago. Knowing who your ideal customer is. And good marketing to me just means that I'm going to connect with my ideal customers more often.
Yes.
And if I'm doing that, then I can say no. It's easier for me to say no because every entrepreneur gets nervous saying no, but we can say no when we really should.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who gets nervous saying no, Damon. I get so nervous saying no. It's terrible. I'm getting better at it every month.
Yeah. I still get an upset stomach over it once in a while. It's like, because it's right. It's I don't care if you're just pick a product, pick a service. We've all done it. And, you can be a lawyer and get yourself in the wrong case. You can be in marketing. You can get in the wrong type of company. It's so easy to do because we want to do it, but, and we want to help people. But at the end of the day, nobody comes out winning when that happens.
Yeah.
A lot of times anyway. So that's cool. So going forward now, so talking about community, talking about that, what are you looking forward to in the next year? What's going to be fun? What's going on?
What am I looking forward to? Okay. I am super excited. I've got some things under wraps happening, but I'm in the process of doing, I'm excited about it. So for my brand, I'm exploring some new services that I'm excited about all around like digital self-serve transformation. So I'm excited about that.
Very cool.
Yep. And so that's what I've got going on. I'm super stoked about it. And I'm exploring possibly starting my own podcast in the new year. So I think that'd be super fun. So those are some exciting things I'm looking forward to.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you? What are you looking forward to, Damon? I get to be the questioner now. I get to ask you the questions.
I'm really thinking about the community thing. I've always enjoyed that. I've always enjoyed talking. I love talking to people one-on-one like we are today.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy seeing groups of people come together and then watching the interactions between individuals in the group where they're helping each other. I just think that is so cool, because
Magic.
if you just said, what am I excited for the next year? It's really about amping up the impact I can make. And that's what it is. It's about how can we educate more people? How can we help more people and just continue to do that?
I'm so inspired by that, Damon. That is so like servant leadership, inspiring. Can I be like you when I grow up? I want to be like you.
You don't want to be like me when you grow up.
That's awesome. Well, I was reading something from someone on LinkedIn, I don't remember. And they were saying like the key to creating a good community is to not be the star of the community.
Yeah.
It's all about letting the people in the community be the star. And I was just really intrigued by that. I was like, oh, that's really wise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Awesome getting to talk to you today, Nicole.
Yeah.
Man, I just want to say thank you. And
You're welcome.
Today, everyone, so if you didn't hear it before, we have Nicole Donnelly from the Donnelly Marketing Group. Where should people reach out to you if they want to talk to you, Nicole?
Come and connect with me. I love meeting new people. I love learning about who you are and what you do and how I can support you with whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish. You can reach me at Nicole@DonnellyMgroup.com. That's my email. It's DONNELLY M Group. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. And my LinkedIn profile is just Nicole-Donnelly-DMG.
Awesome. Yep. Awesome. Well, Nicole, great to talk to you as always. And
my pleasure. Thank you. I'm honored to be on your show. Thanks, Damon.
We didn't even make fun of Kurt too much.
Oh, man.
But
next time we'll roast him.
Next time. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Have a great rest of your week. We will talk again soon. Hang around, Nicole. We'll talk.
All right.